Alright, what's going on, y'all? We're back, and of course, just wanted to go over a couple of quick things on this. Of course, the news broke over the weekend that Kayla Braxton is now in her final week with WWE, and she'll actually be leaving the company to move on to do new things, which is all great for me. And honestly, I just want to point out real quick, really and truly, as far as where people go in terms of what they decide to do with their lives after WWE or AEW, really makes no real difference to me. I couldn't care less either way. I just hope for them that they're gainfully happy and able to accomplish all the things that they're able to, whichever way they actually go. I mean, that at the end of the day, I think, is the thing that needs to be prioritized more than anything else. But for me, just given the fact that she also decided to shut down any speculation of her signing with AEW, which understandably so, I can't say that I blame her, and of course I'll paraphrase, she even put it, why would I leave the best wrestling company in the world if I wanted to stay in wrestling? And she's not wrong about that. I mean, it's literally not going to get any better than what you could have with the WWE, and there are a lot of people that, especially now under the Triple H regime, would certainly be inclined to feel that way. That said, of course, that may not necessarily make everybody happy, but I guess it really depends on who you ask. One thing I will say about this, however, is that for me, I'm just of the mindset that we can't entirely rule this out. She said this now, and I don't try to dare speak for Kayla Braxton or anyone of her ilk or in this business or just anybody that isn't me specifically. We'll just go with that. But nonetheless, I'm just of the mindset that, again, and we're still yet to see this actually be confirmed, but should Tony throw the bag at Becky, I'm very inclined to believe that he can certainly make Kayla an offer that she'll be more than thrilled with. But that's entirely up to her. Again, I don't speak for her or anyone else. That's just my take on it. And that's just me just putting that out there as honestly as I can. That said, we're going to move along real quickly to talking about Brooks Jensen here. And this is one of a couple conversation pieces I've been having with my best friend Darren. And I want to discuss him because there's a lot in terms of just, I guess, questions of I don't want to say his development per se, but just where he's been at, not even character-wise, but just overall where it stands, not even just so much NXT, but perhaps even ultimately WWE. I imagine that Josh Briggs is not going to be very, very far away from a call-up within the next year or so, maybe even sooner than that for all we know. I mean, anything's really possible. There are SummerSlam call-ups to be considered, but one thought that was brought up was the thought of him going to TNA. I actually like this idea, especially with, we'll just call it the exchange program, if you will, for lack of better phrasing. Obviously, it's the working relationship, but I'm sorry. I'm going to try to be colorful about it in my own way. So sue me. Anyway. Point I wanted to make, though, is that I think that's a fantastic idea. I don't think you can go wrong with that. You already had Tatum Paxley answer the open challenge of Jordan Grace at Hard to Kill. Obviously, Jordan Grace just challenged for the NXT Women's Championship against Roxanne Perez. And we just had Joe Hendry make an appearance last week on NXT. So, why rule this out? Why rule this out? And it can be nothing but good for him. I mean, look at Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke. I mean, I feel like people are saying nothing but good things about that, but maybe that's just me. But I think this would be a fantastic move, and we'll see what comes of it. But either way, I do want to get in one quick thing about this in particular, because another conversation piece that came up in the text messages, aforementioned text messages, Well, maybe I didn't say it that way. Regardless, this was discussed. And of course, I'm getting back to y'all on this right now, given the fact that I haven't talked to y'all since last week anyway. I tend to take the weeks off unless something major comes along and it needs to be discussed. But, you know, I am also preoccupied with a lot of other things that, you know, just moves that I'm trying to make personally. But we'll just leave it at that for now. Again, I said earlier, I don't really care one way or another where an individual decides to sign. I mean, if Ricochet honestly does end up showing up at AEW, I'm not going to give any more of a fuck about it than I did if he decided to re-sign with WWE. Now, that being said, I imagine that WWE is still going to try to make him some kind of an offer to where he stays. But meantime, between time, for me, I gotta talk about how happy I am. This is one exception I'm gonna make to that particular rule of mine, as I mentioned to my friend. I couldn't be any happier that Drew decided to re-sign with WWE with the way that this went. Now, the thing about it is that there were a couple of folks that were expecting him to take time off, which maybe he still does. And the thing is, Punk is still yet to be cleared anyway. So this probably takes him out for another couple of weeks, and maybe that opens things up for Drew to go and do his thing how he needs to accordingly. But one thing that I will say about it is, if nothing else, this is something that's absolutely ready-made for SummerSlam. And I gotta say, this is one of the best possible builds that you could have for that. I mean, I'm good if they take their time about this. Drew, do your thing, handle your business. Punk, go ahead, kick it for a minute. And when y'all are back, whoo-wee, oh man. But anyway, we're going to move on to another huge topic, which actually had just come along fairly recently. Seems as though there's going to be an awful lot of anything goes when it comes to Raw on Netflix coming in January of 2025. Now, I feel like this was actually expected. I don't think me telling you this, me saying this, is going to surprise any of you, even in the slightest. If it does, okay, cool, I'm not mad at that, but I don't see where it does. Reason being, look back to, I believe it was the week before the go-home of WrestleMania, and of course that just ever so unforgettable scene of Cody being bloodied by The Rock, and The Rock letting him know, this is what happens when you fuck with the final boss. I mean, word? I mean, we gonna get more of that? Like, needless to say, like I said, I've always been happy about this. I'm looking forward to this being the case, but it seems that this is more or less confirmed. It's just about set in stone or whatever. Great! But for me, honestly, where I'm at with this is, it makes sense that it's going to be that way for Netflix. I mean, if we're being perfectly honest, why not? Why not? It's Netflix. I mean, I'm not saying that, especially when it comes to anything goes, we're going to get to anything that's beyond the realm of, like, whatever the equivalent of the R rating is as far as the TV system is. Not that I ever gave a shit about that. But, in all honesty, obviously it's a far cry from what we consider the PG era, which I'm absolutely here for, and we've been waiting entirely too long for this to be a thing. So, January 2025, I don't know if it can get here soon enough. But I'll leave it at that. Let me know what y'all think on that one. I mean, is this a big deal? I like this. It doesn't really matter how much I talk about it. The bottom line is I love this. I'm looking forward to it. I won't be able to talk about it enough. But that's going to be it for now on that one. Look forward to maybe something else here tonight, but certainly other stuff tomorrow and moving forward. I know I talked about some adjustments I'm going to be making. We'll see how that goes. Got a wedding coming up this weekend, so a lot of things are up in the air, but yeah, look forward to more. Thanks for being here, and I'll get at y'all.